So if you are anything like me, then you probably have a lot of business ideas. But at the same time, you probably have a very secure, stable job that you're working in. And going into business feels like taking that leap, jumping off that particular cliff. And it feels like a really risky decision to take. In this video, we will go through a very simple framework so that you can think through all of the ideas that you have, and eventually, by the end of 20 minutes, believe that business is actually not a leap of faith. Starting a business is simply a whole sequence of questions which will eventually help you de-risk the business. Hi, for those who haven't met me, I'm Priya. I am the founder of the Out of Office podcast. Over the last 6 years and more, I've been running my own consulting business. I've been through numerous incubator programs in Singapore. So this framework that I'm talking to you about is something that has been tested and something that anybody can put to use right now, today, in the next 20 minutes. So, shall we get started? Let me introduce you to the pyramid framework. The most important part of this framework is that every layer is super important. The first point is business. Now, business is the part where we feel like we're taking the leap of faith. I don't want you to think like as if you're, falling into the unknown, but rather de-risk it like an engineer, not a gambler. And what does that even mean? Okay. So in the business, I want you to think about three things: the what, the who, and the why. The what is basically what problem are you solving? Try and define this as well as you can in your mind. Then the second is who is it for? So you are solving a problem for someone, correct? And if you don't know how to define this well, I will walk through an example in a bit, and that's when you can also see through it. You can understand what this who actually means. Now, when you think about who, you think about a certain persona in your head. And then you think about what this persona does, whether this person actually has this problem. And then you ask two important questions. First, how are they solving this today? And then second, what is not great about the way that they're solving it today? Let me give you an example. Sanitary napkins is something that women around the world use, but it was never always a sanitary napkin. Back in the days, way before pads were introduced, they were solving it with other methods like cloth, washing it, reusing it, and so on and so forth. And that was really unhygienic. The inventors of sanitary pads thought that, the current way of solving the problem is not good enough and that they had to do something about it. And this is really how inventions happen. If you're thinking that you are going to solve an unsolved problem in this world, that is very hard, because we as human beings, we have different solutions to the same problem, and some are better than the others. So in your business, when you're thinking about who is it for, you have to ask the question, how are they solving it today? And what is not great about that specific way of solving that your solution or your business can actually help with? And finally, once you're clear about this, you go into the why. Why is your way better? And answering this question will actually help you refine your offer. It will actually help you understand why your way is better. What is your unique proposition? So answering this question is extremely important. If you're in a very interesting market, which is new and novel, you can answer the question why the timing is right. So this is what many companies call it the what, who, why frameworks. It also forms an important part of the business model canvas, which is a whole new video that I will talk about later in this channel. So do subscribe to the Out of Office podcast in case you want to have more business education and also get started with your own company. All right, so what, who, why? Now let's say you're done with this. You have figured out what is the problem you're solving, who are you solving for, and why you're solving. What is the next step that you need to think through? You got it. It's how. And this can often get very, very confusing because there are so many things that you can do. How is the way you run the business? But right up in phase one, on day one, there are actually just two things that you need to do in order to figure out the how. And that is, one, you need to figure out how your business can get traction. Traction, for example, could be revenue. It could be customers. If it's your app, then traction can be users. Traction is the first part. The second that you need to think about is how do you want to build the solution or the service. Let's say you want to start a gym. So then in that case, building the solution would mean getting the gym equipment, working with the vendors, finding the right price, getting the bank loan. All of this probably comes under building the solution. So get traction and build the solution. And there's this book that I have been recently recommended. And so I'm recommending to you that says, and I'll talk about the book in a bit, but this book says that you should spend 50% on each in the beginning. That means if you are spending time thinking about your business and you're putting energy into this, then spend 50% of the time trying to figure out how you're going to get traction. What are the modes and the means that you're going to use? The other 50% of time, think about how to build. Most people make a big mistake. They go right into building and they just keep building and they completely forget about traction and think about traction way later into the business. And I have made this mistake so many times and gosh, I never learned. So if you can, just use this metric, take your time. If you're planning to work on your business, maybe 2 hours a week, then for those 2 hours a week, 50% think about traction, 50% think about building. Yeah. Now, that was the business part. I'm going to illustrate this entire thing that I explained using an example. Are you ready? Okay. Now, we're going to work with a completely hypothetical company. Let's call this company Super Agent. So what is Super Agent? Super Agent is a services business that intelligently automates the most repetitive work in your organization using AI agents. So what would the problem that Super Agent would solve? So it is an agency that ships and maintains AI agents for you, right? The problem is very simply this. There is a mountain of manual work in companies and literally nobody has the time to fix it. So people are busy running the business, right? People are busy talking to clients. People are busy delivering the services in any kind of business. No one really has the time to sit down, learn how AI agents work, watch a bunch of YouTube videos, and then, set it up. And then not just that, keep them stable in production and automate these workflows. This is incredibly hard, right? So this is the problem that Super Agent is solving. Now let's go into the who. That was the what. What is the problem? Now let's go into the who. The who is basically who has this problem the most. In the wild world of business, anybody can have this problem, correct? But you need to pick the one that you can actually reach first. So here are some examples that we have. You could have non-tech firms, you could have marketing agencies, you could have brick and mortar businesses. So you've got to talk to them and understand which of these businesses actually find this problem very, very painful and is actively trying to solve this problem. That would be your beachhead target market. When I say beachhead, I very simply mean the first kind of customer that you would like to go after. Don't go after everybody, just the first kind. Then, right on the who, remember I asked you for 2 questions. And the first question is, what are they doing about this problem today? So in the case of Super Agent, they're possibly running internal workshops. They're possibly upskilling employees so they can figure out how they can build AI agents. They're possibly posting RFPs for vendors to come. They're probably working with expensive consultants. They're probably paying for big enterprise plans and having this huge ass bill from Anthropic at the end of the day, and they don't know what to do about it. The point is, this is probably what they're all doing. And the person who is doing all of this is your ideal customer. But the next question is, what is wrong about how they solve it today, right? So you can look at all of these ways that they're trying to solve it and figure out what is not great about these existing solutions. For example, workshops and dev shops, they can take a lot of time to try and solve it. So they could be slow. Enterprise pricing, token and stuff can be very expensive because half-baked knowledge can sometimes lead to more expenses. Fragile could be an issue. You upskill your employees, you come, you build an agent, great, but the moment you put it in production, boop, it's breaking. So that could be a problem, right? So list down basically what sort of problem that your customer is still facing today with the existing solutions to the problem that you are targeting. And when you do that, you will start coming up with something very amazing. You will start coming up with how you can solve it, coming up with your unique differentiator, and that will help you create your offer. And that is exactly going to be your opening. So maybe in the case of Super Agent, now that they have identified these things, as the owner of Super Agent, You can be faster, you can be hands-on, you can be super easy and accessible to start with, and your every work comes with a maintenance plan at a huge discounted rate, which can be a big deal maker for some of the customers that you're working with. So this becomes your offer. Now, with why out of the way, now that we know what is our unique offer going to look like, we have to think about the how. So, how do you get traction? This is a recommended read. It's called Traction, and it is written by Weinberg and Mars. Weinberg is basically the founder of DuckDuckGo, the search engine that blew up in terms of growth. In the case of Super Agent, which is the example that we're talking about, this could be SEO and content. They could possibly have a YouTube channel like this. They could just purely do cold outreach, word of mouth. They could also work with communities. They could do partnerships. There's a whole bunch of ways that you can get traction. Finally, the last other half is basically how you're going to deliver it. In the case of Super Agent, this could be what kind of talent that Super Agent needs to partner with. Now, since you're starting, you're probably not going to hire your employee immediately. You can figure out who you want to partner with. It could be other co-founders. It could be agencies. It could be just sheer group of amazing, talented people. Whatever it is, you've got to figure out what your terms are going to be, what you will do. And, basically all your nuts and bolts in your business, that's what you would do here. And that's what Super Agent would do. So we just walked through the example on how, if I were to start Super Agent, how would I think through the 3 W's? When you think through that and you find answers to these questions, you suddenly feel a lot more confident about taking the leap because you're not really going into the unknown. Okay. So that's the first part of the pyramid. Now we go into the next, which is the personal part. Starting a business, the first 3 years are incredibly difficult. So it is important that you look at the middle layer and you design your personal life in a way that can help you ensure successes in your business. And I would break the personal life into 5 different pillars. And these 5 pillars can help you succeed. So first, finances. Look, you have to be comfortable with the fact that you're possibly not going to earn anything for the first 3 years. If you don't work through your finances, it's always going to bug at you and you can never peacefully build your business. So first, get your finances sorted. I have spoken to a whole bunch of entrepreneurs and they have advised that you should keep at least 3 years of your finances in order. Like you should look at what is your monthly expense every month, multiply that by 12 and multiply that with 3. And that's the kind of number that you should keep aside for yourself. Another thing that you can do is also talk to your spouse if you're married. I think one of the beautiful things about marriage is that it gives you a financial cushion. Best, try to have at least 2 to 3 years of expenses saved and have a good plan. Second, explaining the entire plan to your family. Get them on board, tell them what the plan is, tell them what you're doing, and try to walk them systematically through your entire thinking process. Give them some head start. Don't just want to come and say, I'm going to just do it. No, don't do that. Try to bring them aboard on this journey as you're thinking through it. Third pillar is health. Super duper important. As entrepreneurs, we forget to take care of our health. And the stress and the uncertainty can become high. Your cortisol levels can rise. And that might even lead to you becoming extremely, extremely fat. I know I'm being so crass, but it's true. It can happen. If you love a certain exercise or you play a certain game, keep doing that. Don't stop. Fourth, having a coach helps massively as you go and work through your business. And I literally don't know any successful entrepreneur who doesn't have a coach. It could be a life coach, or it could be a coach who has built in the space that you're heading into. Be on calls with the coach every 2 weeks. And if you want to value your coach's time, definitely compensate if you can. Get a coach, absolutely necessary. And I think what is optional but is becoming very, very important is being part of an entrepreneurial community. I do not mean the community of, just your family or friends. No, I mean a solid entrepreneurial community where they are also building their own businesses. Only they can really understand what you are going through. Usually the good ones, they tend to have a call every month. Join those calls, have those conversations, be vulnerable, be open. When you need help, ask for help. So I think this is super important. this bit. And this sort of sums up what you can do in your personal life in order to support the growth of your business. Finally, let's come to the bottom most part of your pyramid, which is the mindset. Mindset is what you really have when things get hard, right? And the way I break it down is in a belief stack. I call it the belief stack. It's like a little hamburger. But so what happens in this belief stack is that it's just a set of beliefs that you need to have. You would have to definitely believe in the problem, because there are going to be many times as you go that you might even question if this problem exists. It could be 100 other reasons, but you've got to believe that this problem actually exists and is worth solving for. Second, you've got to believe in your solution, service, and product, whatever you're building. Then, third, don't be obsessed with the solution, but you have to be obsessed with the problem. And this is where the founder problems fit comes in. And I've seen entrepreneurs go 2-3 businesses and then realize that there wasn't a great fit between them and the business itself. It is called the founder problem fit or the founder market fit. We often think that founder market fit is because of a skill mismatch, but it's also how much does the founder care about solving this problem. So you've got to be obsessed about it. And a great example that I have to give here is Steve Jobs. People were using personal computers, but he was obsessed about the fact that it was not beautiful looking, it did not have great design. He was obsessed about that problem. And he didn't give up. He wanted to build the most beautiful, easy to use computers. And today, way after he's gone, we still use Macs, we still use Apple, and they are by far better than so many other computers that is there. So being obsessed about that and really caring about that problem is so important for you to build a successful business in the long run. And I'll tell you, because I've been in businesses where I've run businesses where I did not care about the problem. And after a point in time, give it 6, 7, 8 months, it just, when things become difficult, you just cannot find it in yourself to fight for it anymore. So number 3, super important. And finally, number 4, when you have all of those top 3 going good, you believe that you are the best person to solve it. Be critical, improve, but you have to have this belief. As your business grows, it will also define leadership, who you become as a leader. How do you instill in them that desire, that want of this business, So that's point 4. And finally, when all of this is great, try and understand what your belief systems are. What do you believe about money? Are you a spender, saver? Do you think money is easy to get? Do you believe that money is super hard to make? Try and do an analysis of yourself. If you have these beliefs and they are detrimental to growth, then work on it. Sometimes these beliefs can be really good, so keep those. So what is your belief towards money? Safety is super important because in the initial 3 years, people do become very uncertain. So understanding what actually makes you feel safe. Is it the tons of money, the 3 years worth of money that's in your bank account? Does that make you feel safe? Or is it the fact that you have a house that makes you feel safe? What is it that adds to safety? Try and understand that. And the best thing is that if you can feel safe just by the fact that you are you and that you're taken care by, universe, God, no matter what, if you can get to that point where you don't need any of these things to feel safe, that is bingo, right? Because the moment you start feeling paranoid about things, it can have a big impact on the business and your personal life. And all of this, money, safety, and things, it eventually, all these beliefs form your identity. Identity is where it gets solidified. Just to summarize, when it comes to the business, do you think about the what is the problem? Who are you solving it for? Why is your solution amazing as compared to the others? Think about how. Spend 50% on the ways to get traction, 50% on building the product. In your personal life, there are 5 pillars. Go back and watch the video if you haven't gotten it. And when it comes to your mindset, just believe in what you're doing. I hope by now you would have figured out that starting a business is not a leap of faith. It is systematically thinking through the questions and taking actions in the right direction so you can de-risk it. If you have certain ideas that you're working on, drop it in the comments below or just tell me what you're struggling with. Maybe I can help you out. I have some really amazing conversations coming up with amazing entrepreneurs as well. Stay tuned and keep watching the Out of Office podcast. Cheers. Bye bye.